Welcome to Unmuted by GosuGamers, a podcast that takes a closer look at the esports world. And in every episode, the crews will be diving into the biggest news, hot topics, and tough issues in the competitive gaming industry. And today, my name is Freddy. Today, I'm here with Christy or Pandora Dota, as well as Andrea or Diff. And today we're gonna talk about TI10. For today, we're gonna talk about TI10, right? I mean, I know it's over for almost close to a week by now. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about. We did a couple of videos here and there to talk about, the active storylines during TI, but I think there's a lot more to for us to uncover, to really unearth and talk about it. But first thing first, Div and Christy, what's your overall thoughts about this TI10? Is it a great one? Like if you have a ranking, is this like, among the top few TIs ever, or meh, or like what's your thoughts?
So excited both of us to start.
I like the silence, like yeah.
Well, because when you talk about TI, I think it's multifaceted, right? You have storylines is one thing, you have gameplay is another thing, you have production value is another thing, you have experience is another thing. So when you say like, how is this TI rated, it's you have to do the quick math. Okay,
why don't we narrow it down to
all of those things?
We narrow it down to the storyline per se, how everything unfolded. Yeah.
Well, the storyline is pretty nice, right? The storyline, everything, and I'm super glad that we had probably some of the best Dota games we've seen in many years. But I almost hate that. It's not hate, don't take it literally, but the Dota was so good that you might forget that this TI didn't feel like TI at all, besides the Dota, I have very mixed feelings, and I'm very happy that it happened for Team Spirit and the way it happened. At the same time, again, I feel like this was a very big letdown for the fans, and for me, it didn't have the TI feeling at all, outside of the, what you see as a games. But it might be just me. I don't know.
Christy?
No, I can completely agree with that. I feel like it definitely, as a production value and as how it was presented to us, it was no different. If, in fact, for fan value, again, Animajor was a bit higher production, a bit more exciting in that sense. This was on par with Singapore Major, I would say, in terms of production, in terms of content, in terms of what we received on our end as fans. And we didn't have a lot of positive things to say about that one. So I guess that's kind of where I'm feeling. It didn't feel very much different from that to me. It didn't feel like a TI. We didn't have Gabe. Sure, he did his video call in or whatever, his recorded session, but it wasn't the same, clearly. The audience factor wasn't the same. The content was not on the same level of what TI normally delivers and does. And part of that is because, again, the audience, because a lot of what TI does in terms of content is audience participation, audience driven. There's a lot of running around through the crowds. There's a lot of things that happen with the audience, Slack sitting with other people in the stands, Casey doing things with people in the arena, you see the outside, you see the crowds, all of these kinds of things. And obviously that was completely lacking. The video content also with Casey and stuff was recorded, and it was recorded via video conference. So already there's a difference in that there's not that face-to-face, same kind of ambiance and atmosphere, the interaction. Usually it's a very serious thing. They're sitting down next to each other on couches, everybody's together. And so it was a lot more makeshift feeling to it. And again, this is just in terms of what was delivered for fans and content. But even the secret shop felt so lacking and empty compared to previous years. And I know that I went to go order almost immediately from when it was announced, and things were already sold out too. So that was a bit disappointing, again, also as a fan.
Yeah, I think since we're already talking about the disappointments, let's just talk about all the bad and the ugly, right? So I think technical wise, definitely there are a lot of hiccups, especially during the first few days. All
The beautiful green screen,
the green screen,
crowd
the long
cheering.
delay. I think during the first day of group stage. Yeah, let's talk about the crowd cheering. It was really bad, especially the first 2 days. I think in terms of how they mixed it and everything. I have to say it got gradually better though throughout. Especially during the main event. It kind of like at some point you forgot that yes, there's no live audience, but somehow it helps with the atmosphere just a little bit. But
My
yet at the same
understanding
time,
was there was
yep,
a crowd DJ and he was at the arena. So that's where
yeah,
the difference between the playoffs and the groups was because he was at the arena itself and was kind of like pumping in the crowd sounds.
mm,
And then, of course, because they had the pre-recorded LGD
yeah,
chant,
yeah.
that felt a little bit more authentic than, of course,
I
Team
think
Spirit, there was that whole.
LGD was the only team with that special track, right? I don't remember
I think so, because
OG
I know
or
it was clearly a difference, and there was a whole Reddit thread and stuff about this is biased. Team Spirit didn't
yeah,
have their own chant and those kinds of things.
yeah. Div, are you a fan of the cheer or not a fan of the cheer? Especially when it's fixed, not the initial stage, but towards like the final few games or like even the playoffs. Yeah.
I'm a fan of doing things in an honest way, and a lot of the things that happen on at this TI, including the tuning, I think like it helped with just reminding you this is everything we could come up with in the lag. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like the fan cheering. It was awful on the first days. Yes, it got better later on. They practiced, they balanced it, but I still had like even the LGD chanting in the grand finals. I was like, why would you do that? We all know it's no audience. We all know that this is not happening. We all know that the teams don't hear this. They don't count, for the teams, for anyone. It's just like fake, build more fake, more scuffed things on top of everything that was not looking already good. And
Yeah.
just like, desperate things trying to save or to make it better. And to me, it just got worse and worse, but whatever. Yeah, I hate, I mean, I've heard so many people already talking about Romania being a third world country, reminded me about that, and people just have this and in their conversations now post TI a lot. And yes, it's, of course, we are not anywhere close to a civilized country, but I hate that this TI didn't, do any justice or didn't do any good for the perception to be changed. And it is what it is. I don't know. I just want
Yeah.
to forget about this as soon as possible.
With that, I definitely want to also touch on I would say the safety as well as the players' welfare issue, right? I mean, not trying to shit on like PGL or WoW directly, but it's just that that there were a lot of complaints from especially even in the beginning of the tournament, from like player room, the practice room, the one that Team Spirits posted, and all the way to like they were not like standardized procedure in terms of like SOP, in terms of like COVID tests. There were complaints from Esther, and that got deleted. That got deleted. The comments and stuff like that.
A lot of
Yeah,
things
there's a
got
lot of
deleted,
this kind of thing. Mm.
which is
Doesn't mean that we
also
can't talk about it.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
we can talk
should
about
talk about
it.
it. Yeah, that's the reason
Yeah.
why our show is called Unmuted for a reason, right? Yeah. So
Well, I know that people have behind the scenes said that it's in their contract specifically that they're not allowed to publicly talk against the organizers. So this is why things either end up getting deleted or not going public, because part of their contract specific that they signed specifically says that they are not allowed. which makes things hard. And then, somebody gets angry, somebody gets upset, because rightly so, with the things that they do. They post it on Twitter, and then it immediately has to come down because a management says, we signed a contract. We're not allowed to do this, and it has to be removed immediately. I mean, I understand on one hand, you have a NDA or some other kinds of, you don't want, your employees to go around bad mouthing you. And I think that's in a lot of industries, honestly. But at the same time, it makes things very difficult, because how do things get fixed then? We don't see a lot of accountability. If these things aren't, we see that they changed the practice rooms after the Team Spirit video went viral, so to speak. Then they changed the practice rooms, because then some of the other teams started speaking out about it or commenting as well. That wouldn't have been done without that. I guarantee that if Team Spirit just went and said, we don't like our practice room, it would have been like, well, that's all we have. They had to kick people out and pay them big money, is what I'm hearing, to move people out of the hotel in order to make the room so that they can give teams the bigger rooms for the practice rooms. So, I don't think they would have gone through that kind of effort had it not been brought publicly. But on the same hand, they're not supposed to be bringing things publicly.
I think this is where I know, Team Spirit is such a young team and an organization for the first time at TI, and there were a lot of things that, they were simply not aware of what should say or not say, or, it was their first experience. And I'm just super happy that they were the ones that, brought this into everyone's attention and said, hey, this is not okay, even for a team like us who are at the first TI. We can't practice in 2 meters, or not practice. I mean, we keep saying practice rooms, but those were the rooms where they had to play the group stage from, right? And they end up winning the TI. This is like perfect story for me, because if somebody like Team Secret or OG or anyone else would have gone, oh, these are not perfect rooms or decent rooms for us, fans might have said, oh, but you are such a picky, and you want so much. And it's good that Team Spirit actually brought that to the media and to everyone's attention.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that they were complaining. I mean, the video clearly showed how cramped, how they couldn't stand up, how they couldn't move. And it's also a very different kind of a feel than when someone just gets on and just starts saying, oh, our room is too small. And you think exactly like, well, what is too small? Playing out of a closet or playing out of, the Taj Mahal, like, what are you calling? Compare it to a chicken. Like, what size is it?
Okay. Now, there are a lot of, I would say, negative points from the production to like all these things, but let's try to also see if we can pinpoint some good stuff. Okay, might not be that easy, but yeah, let's try.
I mean, for production value or overall, because I mean, there were some
overall,
there was great points of it, just maybe not from the production end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to like try to highlight some of it. I think personally, I one thing that I really like about this whole TI is the Twitch embed. Like you can see the mouse over and check all the information, the stats, the items. It really helps, especially I would say to some newer Dota players, or even maybe even some, I would say, returning players, right? Like they may have like stopped playing Dota, like myself, for like 2-3 years, and there are certain things, especially like neutral items that we're not so familiar with, or like the change of skills and everything. Everything is just there. You can just mouse over, you can check it. You can have a link to send you to the schedule and everything. It's just very, very I would say that's a big plus for me.
Yeah, and that's an extension developed actually by Sunsfan. And it was launched a few months before TI. I was very happy to see it, Valve taking on that. There were pieces, bits of content related to this 10-year history, that I really enjoyed. Yeah, the archive, the player interviews made around that those were nice. I don't know if I'm gonna remember them in 2 years from now. Some of the TI content you usually remember, years after. You go, oh, I remember that player profile. Oh, I remember that interview where this player said that. Let's watch that again and see if it's relevant still to the present day. I don't think most of the content that we had at TI10 will be relevant in 2 years, but at the same time, I like them. They were good enough for me. I liked the late game show after the games a lot, but even that was like, Pidian Falax had to leave early. Even that didn't have like a real closure to me, for me, even though Team Spirit, two of the Team Spirit members were after the grand finals there.
Yeah, I think for the archive series, the one that I think that's most memorable for me would be the one with AYXY.
This deal with this Aegis when it comes out should be on the hands of Mushy, and in fact goes to the hands of Windrunner. Nope.
Denial.
What?
They denied it. They failed.
Oh!
Where they kind of like, talk about what happened, with the Aegis denying it, and the fact that they could actually get him out to talk about it. I think that's really something, because it has been labeled as, I would say, the mistake of the century, right? And for them to really highlight that, yeah, it's disheartening, but at the same time, yeah, I find it very, very brave of him to come out and just like address that,
He
And
he tweeted about it as well, saying every year, he has to
I'm
be
reminded of
of
this.
this mistake and everything, but you have to move on and everything.
Yeah.
So
In a way, it's almost like a perfect closure, or not exactly a closure, but at the fact, the fact is kind of like they honor this, right? And they kind of turn it into like a tribute and not like just a scar. Yeah, and I like that. Yeah. Is there any other good points?
Good points. I don't know. Team Spirit run. That's a good point.
A good point. Yeah, we will focus and talk about Team Spirit in a little bit. But yeah, I speaking of that, I think Dota in general, like we mentioned earlier, is really good. I think the gameplay and the meta, I specifically enjoy this year's TI meta because it's not too slow, not too fast. It's pretty swingy at some point as well. There's comeback potential, and I would say the meta heroes are very global and very fun to watch as well as a spectator. Yeah, there's a lot of team fight centric. Yeah.
well, and there were so many heroes played this TI, so I think it also kind of lends to a lot of variety. It also I think helps other people, professionals and otherwise, see that there's a lot more creativity that could be done, a lot more using your heroes on different roles than was expected. I like that. I like that it had a lot of versatility and variety. You didn't always like know completely what to expect,
How about the panel? I mean, or the talents. Like the hosts and the casters. Yeah, you like some of them? Like any new surprises?
Well, that's also quite been the hot topic lately on Reddit and all the social media platforms and everything. There's a lot going on. I think we always there's a lot of gatekeeping that goes on, and people aren't always so welcoming to new faces, especially those that are new faces, not from within the Dota community, their first time at TI or something, but those when we pull from outside of the, community.
Like Frankie, yeah.
Frankie, I mean, in the past, day 9, things like this, they go through kind of a phasing,
Baptism,
a hazing
hazing,
fraternity kind of, hazing period and everything, where people give a lot of hate or before they warm up to them, I mean, I think even in the beginning at first, Red Eye was like, oh, wow. But by time he was gone, it was like, oh, he was the best, because it takes that much time for people to, and they get stuck with it. It's a comfort zone and things like that. I think Frankie was, she's received a lot of it. And I think some of it is also sexist, unfortunately, so she's going to get the typical, she's not from our field. She's not from Dota. She's not from this. It was her first time type of stuff. And then on top of it, she's going to get that. She was pregnant, you know, she was heavily pregnant. She was in the cold in another country during COVID season, you know, her first TI, so many things working against her. And I think she did an incredible job, but she's, you know, the community doesn't humanize all of these people, and then they end up getting a lot of hate for it. So it's been a really difficult thing to kind of see our community reacting and being like, I think it's really shameful, honestly, because I think that we do have a lot more opportunities to afford many people. It brings a lot more diversity. It brings a lot more insight. It brings a lot more points to discuss or to look at. It helps us grow as a community, as a scene. Brings a lot more opportunities for creativity. And instead, our community kind of just shuts it down right away and chases people away. Because all I know is that if I was Frankie, who did a great job, she was very delightful is the word I would probably say. If I were her, I'd probably never come back to Dota again because of the way that the community treats people. So it's hard.
But as you said, this is something that happens in this community and in this game for the longest time. I mean, yes, now you have this feminist or, you know, sexism element added to it. But just remember that when Red Eye joined Dota 2 for the first time, the Reddit threads that were there, him calling the towers turrets, and he even had to address that at some point, you know, go publicly say, okay guys, I learned, I tried this game, I'm playing, I have this MMR, I have this many hours now. And you always have to, it doesn't matter you are a woman or a man, or it doesn't matter who you are, you
absolutely.
constantly have to prove yourself for this community, and this is what becomes frustrating at some point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they were like, day 9 is boring.
Exactly.
You know, day 9 is boring. I mean, it didn't even matter if he had knowledge or not. They were like, you're boring. Like, we'll find anything to say.
Look at how many people try to enter this this community or to, you know, come to this game, and they actually never come back. They did 1 event, 2 events. I think Rich is the one that tried the most, and he even, you know, said, okay, I'll do my own organization and do whatever I want. But just look back, how many? Will Chobra, a Machine, who is such a great guy, and he had some awesome loser interviews at TI, and you still didn't see him at any other Dota 2 events. And just because this community is so ruthless, and I don't know how many years we're gonna have to wait until something will change in that regard.
We had Moxie, who was the first woman who was able to cast on the main stage in English, which is really fantastic. But that happened because Cap got sick. You know, we got to see Insania step in, you know, which I think he did a fabulous job. But I'm biased towards him. I always adore him. Yeah, but you know, so we got to see some more of that. Some of it was because of circumstances, but we still got it. You know, we still had opportunities for it, and I'm glad to see that. But yeah, the community is just on a different level, and I do think part of it is that I'm glad that we have our unmuted podcast and we have our guests that come on, and we do, as a website, try to push more of the storylines, talk more about some of the either the players or the teams, some backstories, some of the hot topics that are important to discuss, like, you know, gender diversity, things like this, because I think, or the the tier 2 pipelines and things like that, because there's a lot more that needs to be done to humanize all of our players. Because I think for our community specifically, this is something that Twitch, the community, everybody seems to forget. They've got this this 2D version of everything for Dota that's from them and their screen, and that's kind of where it ends. And I think that, we have a responsibility to kind of push more of these things out there to bring it to attention and everything. And maybe we'll see some impact of humanizing a lot more, but
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, I think it's about time for us to talk about champions. Finally, to really I would say really talk about the storyline, right? About Team Secret, not Secret, Team Spirit, my bad, Team Spirit from like the absolute underdog and like with their complications with their practice rooms, and they had a rough start during the group stage. I think they lost. They started with a 0-4 record, yeah, and then all the way
0-6, wasn't
yeah,
it?
0-6, 0-6 or 0. Yeah, I think you might be right. I think 0-6 and then into 10-6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they pretty much went up like undefeated and all the way, and they qualified and to the upper bracket, and yes, they got knocked down on the first day of low bracket, and that made it even more interesting, more amazing, right? That run, they literally have to fight through almost everybody in order to win the title. Like, in your mind, would you equate this to, like, I mean, yes, a lot of people are already calling it like a Cinderella run and all that, but do you think this is more of a feat, or as compared to, let's say, OG's run in TI8, or if you have to compare them, like, which would you feel is more, I would say, how do you even compare that? Yeah. Yeah, because I hear a lot of comparisons about, like, Team Spirit is pretty much, like OG but from CIS. Yeah. But I personally
I don't think they are like OG, because OG had like this like superstar players already. I mean superstar players with a lot of experience. They weren't superstars, but No Tail,
I think it
Seb
was
and
just
everyone behind.
Just Thompson was the only
And
like
Anna.
new.
Yeah, and Anna. But to Team Spirit, I think this is a very good case for Valve to keep, focus their attention or give more attention to tier 2 scene. This is your pure 2-team grinding scene, team grinding in lower divisions and third party tournaments, tier 2, tier 3. This team played a tier 2 tournament a week or two before TI.
Yeah, Pinnacle
You know, yeah.
Liposhka said winning TI felt the same as winning Pinnacle.
Yeah, that was so hilarious. I was like, oh well. And
because he had just as many games, for him it was just continuous preparation for the next game. And they came with this mentality of being, taking everyone serious and just do your best, because when you play tier 2 tournaments and lower divisions and everything, well, they played in the upper division this DPC season, but before that they had like tons of qualifiers and other things. But when you play those, you play to win. You have to win. You have to be in the top 2 for the money to mean something, because the prize pools on those tournaments are small. If you finish 7-8, it's not like you're gonna make a living out of it. You always have to win those, to be able to survive. And they didn't come to TI aiming at the 8 million. So I'm pretty sure that there wasn't. I mean, Silence answer to this is a game for $15 million. Did you think about that? They asked after the draft. I said, no, I don't think about the money. I think that's a true, honest answer. But what they think is like, how do you get further? We need to be there, And I think this mentality of them grinding for like 2-3 years, some of the players of Team Spirit, Miposhka, if you look at his profile, he's with Yellow Submarine since 2015, this guy, I think he has more knowledge of the lower team or the lower tier scene in CIS than anyone else right now. And I give him a lot of credit for this team and for this victory. I think his work there was huge.
Definitely. Yeah, I think what I like about them is, like, I mean, in terms of like their team attitude, as well as like the gameplay, it kind of reflected on their gameplay, right? Like, you have like the aggression, but at the same time, it's not your usual Dubai Dota just go in and die, right? I mean, they have like, everything is calculated. Like the draft is amazing. They kind of know how to play around certain things. And yeah, and I believe, Miposhka did a lot of work, especially with his like great warding and the way he control and also protects the teammates. And you have like the two side polarity, right? You have the aggressors like the Yatoro, your carry, your what's his name again? Toronto Tokyo and all that. But at the same time, you also have like Mira as well as Miposhka that really just sit back and be the sacrificial lamb most of the time. Yeah.
Well, and I think another thing is that, like Yotaro, someone said it wasn't a hero pool, it was a hero ocean. I mean, there's just so much depth to when you can play so many different heroes. It opens things up so much for your drafting. It opens things up for your gameplay, your game style. And, historically, we've seen a lot of these big pro players are, very small hero pool. They play magnificently, but they're still a smaller hero pool because they've perfected them, they've mastered them, and they focus on them and stuff. Where Yotaro's was so big, it opened so much up for them, and nobody really could understand maybe what they would pick next for him or something. And that's something that went to their advantage.
There's also something, I think it has a lot to do with the mentality of your coach, of your drafter, of your captain, and everything else. I mean, some teams here, some tier 1 teams, super known teams, I think they always, they understand that these 2-3 heroes of ours are so strong that we almost challenge you to beat us. I mean, are you up to take this challenge? And most of the lower tier teams, or the teams that lost to them many years or many times, they will play with fear against a Terror Blade or against a Medusa or something, while Team Spirit was like, dude, yeah, and no pressure. Again, after a second lower bracket round, I kept saying Team Spirit overachieved, and from here on they'll just go further and further, because really, there's no pressure on them. All these teams that they faced in the lower bracket were with the pressure on them, from there on.
You're definitely right with that. They play with no fear, right? And in fact, in most games, they are the one who are the problems. They create problems for the other team. They really don't care about what sort of hero or whatsoever draft. They will just make something up, and I think that's what we like about them as well. What do you think with their victory? Like, what sort of impact would it make, to the scene of the community, especially the CIS region, or like even around the world? Because yeah, like you said, they are pretty much like a representation of tier 2, right? And with this kind of success, do you think there will be a lot of positive impact, or not positive impact? What do you guys think?
I'm afraid that something will happen now. Like, people will say, "Oh, God, we slept on this CIS scene. These guys are actually super good. What do we do?" I won't be surprised if in this shuffle we will see more CIS players migrating to other regions, and I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good for the CIS scene. What Team Spirit achieved right now, I think it's super great, but I think you have to give credit to them specifically, not the region. I don't think the region is that strong, actually. And I'm gonna wait for the next DPC season to probably prove me wrong. I don't think so, though. You look at Virtus Pro, who actually, were the top team through all these regional leagues. They got beaten by Team Spirit. I think that was the most grudge match Team Spirit actually had in this TI, the only one that counted for them a lot, to prove something. I don't know. I'm afraid a bit that, now we go into a new year with a lot of hype on CIS Dota and say, oh, CIS Dota is back. These players are super good. It's absolutely great that we have two teams that were so young, and that, it's some sort of generation changing. But just wait and see how Navi will do from now on. I'm a bit afraid that for Virtus Pro, I'm a bit afraid that for Virtus Pro, although they are top 6, this wasn't a easy to swallow defeat because it was the team spirit, and I'm afraid that we might see some changes there and that the team will not be the same. And CIS is very much, I mean, in temper, you know, as temper and egos and everything. CIS is very much like South America or North America, you know, where something happens and the team disbands like that just because of an ego or just because of some words thrown at intense moments. And it's good. I mean, Team Spirit story is good in general, only because it's another example that everyone or anyone can actually win TI. This is what's all the time, you know, reminded. Hopefully Team Spirit will, I also have this fear that not everyone from Team Spirit might continue play, you know, they just won 18 millions, that's about 5 million per player. Some might get just, okay, I'm done, this is enough for me, and we'll see.
So, Christy, I know that you are writing, or by now you might be finishing up an article on Team Spirit. So, you want to enlighten us on like some of the points, that we're covering?
No, you have to read it to find out.
Yes,
Don't
that's
give
exactly
away.
right. Yeah, we will have the link.
That was my clickbait right there. Thanks,
Yeah,
Freddie.
we have the link down there in the description, so do check it out. Like, what's our Christy's thoughts on that in regards to like Team Spirit's run, and it's gonna be a fantastic piece. I'm sure about that. Yeah, so go read it.
Oh, I'm just saying, it's going to be basically, it's a piece that just highlights their journey from, you know, being the underdogs to the champions, and some of the things that they either experienced or may have contributed to that success. In the past, I've written a piece about what makes a championship team, and looked at lessons specifically from OG. So kind of correlating some of those together and looking at a championship team, not just in terms of your talent or your experience, but what are the other points that can help bring people to those, you know, to becoming a championship team, to being able to progress, face adversity, things like that. So it'll be good.
Yeah. Now that we've covered Team Spirit, the champions, I want to talk about the other storylines, and the first one to talk about, of course, is PSG LGD. I think that's gonna be a super tough pill for them to swallow. That, you know, I think this is their first run-up run.
Second.
Second. Yeah, second. My bad.
I don't know if I mean the TI8 loss was super hard to swallow for them. I'm not sure this one feels the same. I think this one is hard to swallow by everyone else around LGD, from fans to analysts to. This was the year when everyone agreed. I haven't seen that in Dota in many years. This is the first time when everyone was agreeing, you know, this is the TI that LGD should win, and everyone was fine with that idea. From other teams, competitors that lost to them were like, it's fine, they deserve this TI, they should take this TI, you know.
And the various regions. I mean, how many times do we not see all the regions kind of agreeing as well?
Yeah.
Especially for Chinese. Mm-hmm.
This was something very special to observe, you know, during this TI. And then they lose to Team Spirit. And again, I will credit, it's going to be hard for Ame, I guess. If you remember how this fifth game finished with him trying to stop that Roshan, it was, of course, there was nothing else to do as LGD. They had no buybacks. Ame was the only one alive. He goes with the Tani trying to stop the Roshan, dies, and the GG is called. But this is the second big move that remains attached to Ame, you know, after the Terror Blade buyback at TI8 that lost the game. At TI9 now he dies trying to salvage the game. Do you hear that? I have some construction happening upstairs.
No, it's fine. Yeah. We hear that, but it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. It distracts me. But what I was saying, I think is not as hard to swallow for LGD, but for everyone else around them. LGD already agreed to stay together and push for another year because they realized that, you know, this was their best shot ever to take that ages. And I think if they have something there as a chemistry, as a group, you know, because you also have to take that into consideration when you change or not change a team. If they really have, you know, something really good going on, and this announcement coming so early after the loss, like, no, it's fine, we stick together. I think it's a positive sign and a good thing.
Yeah, it is a proven formula. Why break it? I mean, yes, they couldn't win it all, but it's pretty close, and they will have another shot next year. That's good. But yeah, I mean, the fans, like you say, the community around, especially the Chinese region, wow, they were so brutal against them. But yeah, I mean, I'm
All
not
the
surprised.
conspiracy theories and
Yeah, throw games like why didn't you
Why'd you pick
ban
this? Why'd you- yeah.
Magnus? Why you pick that? Yeah.
So
Xiao Wei
yeah,
throwing and
if you think some people or talent or players or teams have it hard on Reddit, just make a Weibo account and try to translate and see what's happening to these
It's
players after
horrible.
HDI. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I was going through the comments and it's like, wow, good on you. I think just block them or like deactivate your account for a few weeks. Yeah, recover from that. Yeah.
Well, you know that in China, from time to time, they are not allowed to go on social media. Before and post events, they actually have this, you know, contractual things in paragraphs, and they are not allowed to check social media, and for a good reason, because if you have like thousands of comments telling you how bad you are as a player and how good I am, random fan from home at 3 kmMR acknowledging and seeing your mistakes in drafts, you just better quit Dota, you know.
Yeah.
It's again, we come to this ruthless community that we have.
And how about anything else to add for PSG LGD before we move on? Okay. I want to talk a little bit about Team Secret, right? I mean, this is their best runs thus far. Third place, not too shabby. But what do you guys think about it? Do they still, like, you know, in a way underachieve, you know, for what they've done so far during the regular season and all that? And you know, Puppy is the only like you know, all-time TI player and all that. Is this underachieving okay or like overachieving? Yeah. What are your thoughts?
It's progress. It's progress every year. It's getting closer and closer. 2 more years and it's his. He's got it.
Yeah, 12, right? That is
Yeah.
the year, yeah.
It's progress, but you know, at some point they were the best team in Europe, and if I had to bet on someone from Europe this year, it would have been probably them to make a good TI run. I think it's a tough loss for them. It's not easy to accept that it's what, 5th year in a row. TI5 or TI6 was first Team Secret TI. When you are not there, you know, you didn't win the ages. I don't know, we might see retirements after this. We say that 2 more years and he got it, but at the same time, you have to think that he's 29 years old already. It's pandemic. Hopefully, we're gonna have TI 2022 and nothing crazy happens like we had 2020, you know, skipping. It has to be a bit frustrating. It has to be. Because on paper, this team was super stacked, super good.
So do you think there will be a shuffle for Team Secret?
For Team Secret? Could
Or
be,
retirement?
could be.
Yeah.
Some retire. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know if somebody retires or not. Probably not this year. Some shuffles, pretty sure that will happen in the team.
Well, we have OG for sure going to have some kind of changes. Mad. Oh my goodness, did I call him Mad? Seb has
Oh, he is kind of
Um,
mad sometimes. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
well, it's so funny how you sometimes like can't shake your new,
Muscle memory.
old left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, he's already alluded to it in his tweet when they lost, that I was hoping we would do better in my last tournament, his eye surgery, 2 TI wins already, things like this, so he's kind of already alluded to it. Thompson has already said prior to TI, that he was looking forward to taking time off with his, he has a child now, a little girl. I think she's just only a toddler, barely out of the infant stage type of thing, to spend time with her and his family. So I think, definitely going to have some changes in that, a big shuffle. Although we did already have a shuffle with them for this year. This isn't the same OG that TI8, TI9. So, I don't think it will be as much of a shock or too hard for their fans to take because it's already happened. The first time around was probably harder, but we'll see in that.
Do you think that Sumer will stick around and perhaps even switch to the two positions or no?
Well,
I
it
kind of
depends on
hate.
who's on the team.
Yeah, it depends on who stays on still stays on the team. I think the OG shuffle will be the biggest one. It's kind of, I mean, it was expected already to see some retirements there, and I think this three-peat not going the way they planned, it was really the last shot for many of them. The last push. And I said that before TI. I think if they had more time with Sumail for real to play with him from the same location, and to go to some tournaments with him, probably the OG story would have been very different at TI. Unfortunately, just a month or something like that, just before the qualifiers he joined, was not enough.
Well, he was there once before.
Yeah, but briefly. I don't know. It will also really depend a lot on what other teams do. I don't think Sumail is keen on going back to NA. I don't think he is, just because of how,
What
professionally.
NA has to offer, yeah.
Exactly. As competitiveness in that region, you might, just lose form because playing there. But at the same time, I don't know. I think this is gonna be one very, very, very big shuffle in Europe, CIS, and Southeast Asia is
Well, I
already
think
happening.
even North America. I mean, I'm not so sure we'll see Ice and Abed staying in North America with Evil Geniuses, specifically them two. I'm saying because of COVID, because of restrictions, because of family, things like that. We already know Quincy Crew, is going through a shuffle, and those are your two biggest NA teams right now. Okay, yes, Undying showed up at TI, and they did much better than was expected, but without an organization, without really clinching something much higher and more kind of tangible, they will probably see some kind of shuffle as well. Especially if you have the shuffle for Quincy Crew or Evil Geniuses, and then some of their players might end up there and stuff like that too. So I think there's a lot. We're already seeing Fanatics shuffle. South America is already going full ham with their changes
switching
and their shuffles
roster, the
already.
whole banner, and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're already going right into it all.
Yeah, even in EU, like with Alliance, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm
I'm
saying
curious to see what happens.
That's why I'm saying, sorry, I think the Europe shuffle will affect a lot of other regions as well, because you gotta think you have a lot of teams here with big names that might, suddenly be out of job. It's
Well,
gonna
I'm
be
curious
funny.
too. We have Team Nigma, who we haven't even talked about because they weren't at TI.
Tundra.
That doesn't mean they're
Tundra,
not going to be affected by the shuffle or be a part of it and have their own changes and everything too. So, and all of those players that weren't in TI, but that do have a lot of potential, do have a lot of talent, do have a lot of experience. When all these shuffles happen, they may get picked up for one of these other bigger teams. And then that is kind of where their team will then start to fall apart.
You have Tundra, you have Liquid, you have Enigma, as you said, teams that weren't at TI. And then you have Secret, who might shuffle. I mean, I won't be surprised to see some shuffles there. Alliance is already happening. There's way too many teams, organizations, not teams, way too many options in Europe right now. And
I think one more thing to add also is because, like, I think for this coming year is according to rumors, it likely will be a 3 DPC season, right? DPC 1, 2, 3.
It's not a rumor, it's just something that Valve communicated as a proposal. So it's not official, but that's the proposal from Valve.
Yeah.
And
with
it
that
stays
in mind,
like that.
With that in mind, it may affect like decisions, right? Of like, picking up players, because you're no longer just picking them for 2 seasons, but for 3. So like, for those players that are coming from out like the external region, for example, like SEA, going to EU or NA, there's a lot of logistic issues to talk about as well. So yeah, I definitely agree with what Christy you said about like Abed and ISS. They may actually move out of NA because of that. Yeah.
It depends. If they have a 1-year visa, and if Evil Genius's top management doesn't see this like a complete disaster, which is hard to believe, because it kind of was a complete disaster. From ISI's and Abed's perspective, considering what's happening around the world with the COVID, I think what Evil Geniuses represents now is not that they have a very strong team and very high caliber players to play with, but it's also financial security. Do you take that risk to go to Southeast Asia, where you saw how many organizations disbanded during COVID, where you see that you have only like 2 or 3 big names for ISIS and Abed? Actually, there's an option to come back to Fnatic if Fnatic wants them back. There is. And the other option was TNC. So I think it depends a lot on what EG wants, from this year, not on what ISIS wants or what Abed wants, because again,
there's definitely going to be a lot of big movement. Yeah, go ahead, Christy.
No, I was going to say, and we still don't have that official information from Valve. So roster lock period and what that even means in terms of shuffles between each of the majors, because they always tweak both the format of how things are, but also usually things like what the point distributions will be, or what the penalties will be, or if there's a hard lock, a soft lock, no lock, open, all these kinds of things. There's always adjustments to this every single DPC year. So we don't even know. I mean, maybe Valve will say, you know what, we're going to have more leniency this year because all the COVID situation is happening. So we're going to not have as many penalties for roster changes, or have more openness between region transfers or something, and maybe that would influence other people's decisions. So I think some of it is also going to depend on, once we see what Valve actually says in terms of those locks, in terms of the dates for having to solidify it, and how open will it be between 3 different majors, or how locked in will it be until TI type of thing.
I won't be surprised even to find that we're going to have a substitute rule added or something. I was just reading about CSGO Major, which is, of course, another Valve tournament. I think this is the first major when they are allowed to come with a substitute at the major. You always have substitutes at third-party tournaments in CSGO, and people that can even be swapped between rounds. But I think for the major, for a Valve tournament, this is the first time when the teams are allowed to have substitutes, just in case something happens, And I won't be surprised to have that in Dota for the next year as well.
It's not exactly. I'm quite happy for that, to be honest, to have like a 6-man, right? To have a official 6-man, and Christy,
PPD can come back.
Yes, as a player coach. Yes, you're right.
The 6-man. So I actually was quite surprised for this TI that we saw no significant subs. Yeah. I mean, we had the assistant coach for Team Aster. What was that, 1 day?
Yeah, that's about it. That's just 1 day.
I think, it was fairly insignificant as a whole. And especially after we had so many for Singapore major, that was kind of the stand-in major,
Yeah.
So there was definitely that was a pleasant surprise for me as well. I was fearful we were going to see a lot more impact from the entire results or the journeys or the teams situations, because they would have to have last minute players come in. Where would you get them from? Who would they be? All of that kind of stuff. And that actually didn't happen. And I was surprised and happy to see that, especially even considering that we knew people had COVID right before the event and everything. So, thinking they would be too ill to play GT, these kinds of, maybe they weren't feeling their best, but they at least were able to manage to play and get through things. And so that was a big difference, and something that I was pleasantly surprised about, because, me and my cynicism and my bitterness when it comes to this, I was expecting to see, this be a bigger issue than it did.
That's true.
So.
One thing
Well,
for sure, yeah, Dave, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just saying one thing that helped them to avoid the standing situation is that the group stage took a lot of time. It was like 5 days, so there is time with the day off then for the playoffs, and probably you're not playing on the first day, or there was time for players to recover, even they had like some illnesses. Well, for the majors, the group stages is what, 2 days, 3 days sometimes. There's no time.
Like 2 or something. Plus they only just arrive and then play.
Yeah.
So there was nothing there either.
Mm.
So post shuffle, we have a mega.
Yep.
We have a mega thread to address all of the confirmed post shuffle things, because we know how Reddit goes wild with rumors and whisperings and all various things. So it's all the confirmed stuff, keeping track day by day, hour by hour, even when all of that goes down. So it's easy for everybody to keep track of. And hopefully there'll be some news also in the coming week that will kind of shape what's going on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, do follow us on like any social media, and we also put a link in the description for the shuffle log. It's gonna be a lot of movements for the next few weeks, I'm sure of it. And yeah, with that, I think we're pretty much done for today. There's also a little bit of tease that we'll be bringing back Gosu Award, just for TI. It's like a special TI edition. Look out for that in the coming few days. There'll be some very fun, I would say, community award for us to really tribute and honor, some of the fantastic storylines that happened during this definitely eventful TI10, I would say. Yeah, regardless of the ups and downs, it is still eventful. There's still a lot of things to talk about. And I'm sure a lot of people like myself is really feeling a bit lost, without this TI10. But yeah, at least we have the transfers. We have all this shuffling going up. There's still a lot of Dota content, and otherwise you can just hop onto a pub game and play Magnus. Yeah,
Oh,
like
Freddie, please, no.
I have been trying to play a few games. I've almost every game without fail you will see a Magnus or Tiny. Yeah.
I made peace with myself that I'm not Fate Beyond after TI6. I was clearly not able to play any of his heroes, and I made peace that I'm not Collapse. And I hope people will understand that they are not Collapse. I mean, the Magnus pick rate this week, wow. And and the MMR is just like,
It's okay to pick Magnus, but it's not okay to try to do crazy moves like Collapse all the time. If you fail once, don't try again. Just not everyone are like a built like that, to make all those
to be honest,
legendary
honest talk, I love that people, once they see something that works super good in TI, they want to try it, and I love that people, that go not on, but go in unranked. Please go in unranked and play 200 Magnus games if you want per day.
Not in ranked games, please. Yeah. All right, with that, we are done for today. When we see you guys next time, remember to like, share, and even comment or whatever you want to tell us. Anything, any questions that or even your own predictions in regards to the shuffle, let us know in the comment section. And see you guys next time.